very short illness, and Hayden, a teenager himself, well, gee, life is just far too short for he. And Hayden insisted that Aaron come across and play and represent the family. So our heartfelt condolences to the entire family and to the West Adelaide Football Club on the loss of Hayden Francis.
Yeah, very well said, Kevin. And our thoughts certainly with the Francis family. No doubt they'd be really proud of young Aaron, who's done them very proud with his performance last week in the Colts Grand Final in the SANFL and also here today. Kevin, just about time for you to leave. Thank you for all your hard work.
Been an absolute pleasure and a great game of footy to start what should be a sensational day.
You enjoy your Grand Final day. Kevin Sheehan there, the AFL National Talent Manager, as the AFL.com.au draft expert, Callum Toomey, has joined us in the commentary position. Cal, welcome to you.
Hello Tristan, hello Terry, nice to be here.
Hello Callum, some real talent on display, isn't there?
Absolutely, both sides. It's been fascinating to watch both sides go at it, as you've been calling. Now, I think the Allies have got a little bit more maturity under their belt, but some enthusiasm from the academy at stages, and as you said, if they had been a little bit more accurate throughout the day, I think it might have been a little bit closer now.
20-minute quarters, so 19 minutes and counting for the AFL Academy to mount a comeback as Cockatoo on the outer side just tucks it under his arm.
Great run.
He's been an excitement machine, just arches his back. Now he's caught in two minds, he's run too far.
Look, don't care at all about that. That's what you want to see him taking on the game. He's been an outstanding player in this game, one of the best.
And this has been perfect for him, this game, hasn't it? Lack of footy throughout the year, so a chance to impress.
But quite extraordinary, boys, what we've actually seen from him here today in terms of touch, his running ability, given he hasn't played all season.
I spoke to him before the game and he was rapt just to be out there playing. So to be out there and playing really well must be really encouraging for him heading into the draft.
Well, you talk about giving an award for best on the ground. He'll be right up there.
Yeah, and Nico Kearney was good, obviously, in the first half.
Outstanding.
Caleb Hislop's come home in the second half. I think he's up to 22 disposals. But Nico Kearney, Cockatoo, Hislop will be fighting it out, I would have thought, Terry.
Would have thought so.
Watts received it from Mattingly. In fact, Ubergang it was.
I like Steele's game as well. Go across the ring, I thought he's done some good work as well.
He's had such a good season, hasn't he? He's been able to get past that knee injury that he had last year, really put himself into contention for the Giants Academy selection. It's expected to be a top 40 sort of pick if someone bids.
Davis far too strong there, marked the kick that came from Weller, kicked wide inside 50. And a good pair of hands to have this footy in. Isaac Heaney, you'll be hearing and seeing a lot more about this young man from Newcastle.
Well, he'll be picked 17 or 18 depending on results today, obviously in the grand final. He'll be the Swans' first selection come October 6th at the bidding day. And he's been planning for this moment for a while. He obviously moved down to Sydney from Newcastle at the end of last year to study. He's been terrific all season. Mature body, mature guy, leader. And as we see here, just a great skill in front of goal. Missed this one, obviously, but he can mark, he can do everything around the ground, and the type of play that you bring into a club and be a chance for round one next year.
Well, Davis was involved in that piece of play as well, but when you've got Weller and Heaney getting involved in the action, I mean, it's going to take these academy boys a little bit of time because those two boys are just about ready for the step into AFL footy.
I think they've almost been waiting for it, those two, throughout the year. There's been stages where they've had a couple of flat patches, but that's hard to get past when you know that you're going to get drafted. These guys know they're going to be first-round picks, so at times there's some motivation levels there that need to be pricked up. But as you say, Josh Dunkley's been terrific. We see Cal Mills, who's shown that he could be probably in this draft as well, so plenty of talent who's shown themselves today.
He just kicked inside 50, did Mills. Out the back, Balik off to Parsons, who snapped quickly and missed. It's been the story of their day so far, just haven't managed to convert in front of goal.
Well, flip the scores around, 4-9, 9-4.
Absolutely, Terry, and as we touched on earlier, very gettable shots, a lot of those they've missed from open play.
Well, we've seen in many grand finals at AFL level in recent times. It's been won and lost by being accurate at goals, and you sense that might have a little bit to play out later on the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that last week where Port Adelaide could have been here today if they had a kick straight in the first quarter. I'll tell you who I have liked early on though, Harley Balik was good in the third term. I thought he kicked that goal. Got a bit of a basketball background. At the moment he's got to build up that tank, a little bit like Christian Petrarca was last year. Next year we'll see how he goes if he can move into the midfield and develop that side of your game.
That the voice of Cal Toomey, AFL.com.au's draft expert, will be all over the combine next week. So you needn't go anywhere. It's your one-stop shop for everything this grand final day. Draft, Combine, Trade Radio. It's got the whole shebang, AFL.com.au. as Wiedemann took a nice mark at right half forward.
Well, good to see him get his hands on the ball. And look, he's a young man that hasn't played at this level yet, so it just takes a little bit of balancing off. He hasn't had a major role to play today, but I think he's one to keep an eye out really for the future.
As you say, he's an addition to the academy squad this year, the grandson of Collingwood great Murray Wiedemann, so I'm sure the family are here somewhere watching on. So he's had quite a good season for the Eastern Rangers. He's shown passions without being really consistent, but as you say, nice to see him get a late touch here.
Got good purchase on it.
Jeez,
Touched right on the
He
line.
went with the early celebration too, I think, Tristan.
Oh, well.
No, he shows talent. I mean, and that's all you're looking for at this stage, at this age, that they can do a few things that you sort of say, well, yeah, in 12 months' time, I mean, that'll all come together.
Well, you look at the guys in this top of this year's draft, Patrick McCartan, Sam Durden, Jake Lever, these type of guys weren't guns all the time last year. They've developed. Paddy McCartan wasn't kicking straight last year. He's got a bit better at that this year. So everyone develops at different speeds too.
And to see the development of a
take.
big man, it was a fantastic take there. It came from Mills, who spun out of traffic twice, did really well, laid the handball off. Tahana, in a world of strife, was stripped of it. And now on the counter, the Allies a chance to just about put this game to bed. They should do it. Weller streaming into an open goal. Excitement machine he does. And that'll be just about all she wrote here for this game of footy, you'd think. And Lockie Weller, on 2 occasions in the past half an hour or so, really showing why he's expected to be a top 10 prospect.
Can I have a look at my Phantom draft again? He might have just gone up a couple of notches. That was the action that he did in the third quarter as well, and then that one, he's got class written all
Well,
over
I've
him.
been speaking to him throughout the year, and one of the things that he's been working on is to actually use his speed in games. He's got some pace, but he hasn't always been using it. So we've seen today this breakaway run, and every time he's got the ball, he's arched his back and just gone for it.
It's looked like Jack Stephen a couple of times,
He
just
has.
the way that he's run and carried the footy.
He's such a good finisher, though. He's got some class, and he brings some class to that midfield group. It's not a top end full of heaps of class through the midfield, unlike last year. Some tools, a bit of a different stock at the top, but he's been fantastic today.
Callum Toomey alongside Terry Wallace. Tristan Fernanda, my name, calling all the shots as Cockatoo takes a bounce. This would be something special from 40. Nakia Cockatoo kicks the goal.
Wow. How good was that?
That's what we've come here to see. And with their 11th, 11-4-72, leading the AFL Academy 4-10-34, I reckon even the coaching staff, Brad Johnson and Glenn Jakovich, applauded that, Cal.
Well, he's got a smile on his face, Nakia. I think you can see it from here. He was beaming and busting just to get out there and play. And look at the strength and pace and just being able to combine that explosiveness. And then to finish, Terry.
Well, he actually extracted the ball out of the pack, so the pack's fallen on the ball. He's the one who's ripped the ball out and then been able to get up that sort of speed from a stationary position. That was enormous. And you're right, the hardest thing then is to finish after such a run.
He's done it on a few occasions as well today. Imagine he strings some consistent football together.
Well, he actually spent a week at North Melbourne earlier in the year as part of the NAB AFL Academy program, and they loved him.
Yeah.
They loved his influence around the group. They loved the way he trained. They loved the way he just was around the club. So obviously creates a really good impression.
Breakout speed for North Melbourne, I'm not surprised.
He'll be on an AFL list next year. Yes, I will hear his name read out. As the AFL Academy are left to just fight this game out. We've spoken about their errant kicking in tight situations. The Allies probably just edging them a little bit, Terry, and they've actually shown they've got that diversity. I suppose that extra year of development really starting to show.
Yeah, it has. I suppose early it was the big bodies down forward, but as the game's gone on, there's just a bit of body strength around the middle of the ground has just been too good. And then we've had the class on top of that, running and carrying. So they've been able to play the inside and the outside game, the Allies boys.
Andrews did well. Here's Cockatoo, got his hands free. Ballick managed to shark. His handball was a hospital one to O'Kearney, and the ball locked in.
I think it's obvious as well that the Academy's missing a couple of their top liners too, so Darcy Parish, Darcy Tucker. If you threw those guys in, Jacob Hopper as well, I think it'd be a little bit closer.
Once again, stalemate ensues.
Well, and as we've sort of said, I mean, it should have been closer anyway.
Yep.
They've just missed opportunities as well with their scoring.
Davis tried to get the quick kick away. Well, thought about putting on the afterburners, elected instead to kick to a one-on-one inside forward 50. Howard's been busy. He's kicked 3 so far today. This one spins around the corner. Wasn't all that far away in the end. Worked out really well. Mark taken by Ubergang. who's called to play on, just snaps it round the corner and misses.
He's an interesting player, Ubi Gang. He sort of floats in and out of games. He's got some raw talent. I'm not sure the tank's up to the AFL level right now. And it would be interesting to see whether Brisbane does nominate him. I think he's on the cusp of being one of their later nominations. We'll see how that goes. But
Comes from a rugby league background.
he hasn't played plenty of footy, no. So he's got some talent, though, some speed off the mark as a forward, which is always handy.
If not selected, rookie.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably where he fits at the moment, with the ability to go boom once he gets to a club.
Yep.
How many has he had today, Terry?
Just have a look for you as we look. He hasn't had a major influence. 5 possessions for the game, 3 kicks.
So Davis hacks it forward by a fist. Parsons going to ground. Could have been clipped tight. In the end, Clark gathers, kicks forward. Ballick's been lively, particularly in the second half. Will draw his opponent. Feed the handball over the top to Matheson, who looks up ahead. Well-weighted ball. Sushams couldn't mark. Umpire called play on. So a chance for the Allies from half-back. They've done it really well. And a free kick picked out. Taken too high there was Jackson. He'll just relieve the pressure.
Bellick up to 12 now possessions.
Andrews, another decent-sized player. Chips inboard. Jones has been busy. Kicks now looking for Steele. Terry's liked his game. A 19-year-old player. And he marks. Kicks short.
Good mark.
And Dougal Howard didn't worry about the oncoming traffic. Just clunked it on the pate of 50. Went back. Steele followed up. No mark taken. Now that southern stand wing just opens up for Yestinides. It's a good name. He delivers up forward. The kick was poor. Gave Shaki no chance at it. And in the end, Jackson for the Allies just chisels one in towards the corridor. Andrews mark. Laid it off to Hislop, who's been busy. Now a chance for Weller. He marked. He wants to go all the way. He's got a penetrating kick. He got the journey, no worries.
Almost.
Just the accuracy.
His eyes lit up, though, didn't they? He had sort of a little bit of space and wanted to go with it, but obviously missed that one. His kicking is a real asset. I think he has some penetration and some skill and some poise, so really offers something for clubs looking for that sort of range in the top 10.
Look, there's been players that have had more of the ball, but I think he's been the most dominant when he's had the ball in his hands.
We see Isaac Heaney's had 16. Hasn't been an outstanding game by Isaac Heaney's sort of standards, but look, Lockie's he's had about 5 weeks off, Lockie, since the last game, so he played in the NEAFL, so a really good effort today.
Davis stood up in amongst 5 NAB AFL Academy players, but they somehow come clear. And a downfield free kick will be marked by Crocker. Boy from the Oakley Chargers. Some may remember Sam Crocker, his brother, on St Kilda's list a few years ago. Kicks out into the path of this live wire in Agus, who kicked over the head of Shaki. All out of play to be tossed back in where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary line. And the Academy boys into attack.
Reece Matheson's had 15 disposals. Another consistent game from him. I think he's projected to be a pretty high pick next year. Had a really good season for the Geelong Falcons and just shows that inside ball-winning ability.
38-point lead here for the Allies. They've been impressive.
Remembering that some of these numbers will be down on what they would normally be in a full length game. We've only been playing the 20-minute quarters, so some of the numbers will be marginally down.
As Dawson's kick was smothered.
As well as rotations too.
Correct.
Given 10 on the bench for the Academy side and only a few for the Allies. So,
and that makes it harder for the Academy boys just to get that continuity into the game as well.
As you can see in the background, crowd slowly starting to flock into the MCG. Really good day for football. Not a breath of wind here in Melbourne. Sun shining, ground in pristine condition. Cole has it. Left foot ball from the Bendigo Pioneer. And Shaki's given away a push, I think. No. In fact, it's going the way of the Academy boys and Sushams.
Well, you get in front of the pack, you get every opportunity.
Probably test him from this distance. In fact, quite clearly, although not his best effort. Front and centre was Eads. He couldn't quite get boot to ball. And a crude tackle there by Wiedemann giving up the free kick. The Allies stream clear and Dawson marks.
Liam Dawson.
On the replay.
Liam Dawson, you'd expect, will cost the Lions their 2nd or 3rd selection. Obviously being lower on the draft, it might get through to their 3rd, but he'd be great value if he got a pick in the 40s.
Coghlan's also been lively, probably faded out a little bit in this second half, but the early signs were really good. As McGuinness went over the top to Cocker too, 45 out. Perhaps a tad ambitious on that time, on that occasion to
confidence
Kaya,
is up.
but his confidence is up, why not? Centre stage MCG. And I think we've seen enough to suggest he'll be a pretty good player in years to come. And as Matheson took the game on, Curnow accepted on the bounce. The Academy boys have it. Kick up towards centre wing. Eads did well to work his opponent under the footy. He's a speedster too. He can just about run all the way. Elected to go one bounce, then kicked over the head of Shaki. And Terry, they should have perhaps done better on that occasion.
Yeah, look, they didn't work it out between themselves. I thought Shaki led too early. I mean, sometimes that's the thing that forwards have got to really understand their leading patterns. They've got to hold and wait until the player lifts his eyes up. As soon as he got hold of the ball, that he was on the move already. It just made it too short of a distance between the two players.
Here's Mills, got through traffic really well. Unfortunately, missed everything. But he's also been a lively contributor. How many stats for him today?
He's had 21, 3 tackles, 4 clearances. So pretty busy day. He had another great game in the grand final in Neefle a couple of weeks ago. So a terrific player, and you expect huge things from him next year.
That's the voice of Cal Toomey, AFL.com.au's draft expert. You can check out his work next week from the draft combine when the AFL's future stars will be on show. And Terry Wallace and myself will be on Trade Radio. Kicking off Monday, all the trade talk. You'll hear some draft preview stuff. You'll hear some stories of diamonds in the rough. And Cal, you'll join that particular program in the second week as well. Found his way through a tight passage, as the very best managed to do. He kicked out to Steele. Southern side wing. Elected to handball over the top. Jones one way then another. Should give it back to Steele. Does so, and now they're just fattening up the stats. They'll retreat, and the mark will be taken by Mattingly. He'll effect the switch, and Jackson can mark. He'll go short over the top to Watts, one would think. Eventually does, after negating that opponent and evading him. So Watts, who got his best kick, trapped well in the end. That came from Dawson. They're just perhaps a tad pretty with that. And Sullivan, the big man for the Academy, tried to get a clearing kick forward, unsuccessful. Kick now, chance for the Allies. It came from Hodgson, but intercepted well by Kieran Collins. He picked himself up, laid it off to the running Curnow, and his kick not great. Down the throat of Hodgson. Steele's kept running all day. He loops it wider. They move inside 50, well towards goal, hits the woodwork. So the Academy boys just running out of a bit of puff as we see their coach Brad Johnson just having a think about proceedings.
Charlie Curnow turned that ball over there on the half-back flank, but he's been quite good, I think, at either end of the ground. Has the same running capacity we hear about his brother Ed, so if he can combine that with a little bit more precision by foot, I think there's lots to work with there as he head into his draft year.
Sullivan, the big man, like the way he moves for a player of his size. 195 centimetres, 80 kilos from Port Macdonald, the hometown of Jordan Murdoch, I believe, also Brody Murdoch. As Archie marks, right half forward, open forward 50. He's got Shaki leading into space. The big man underneath, no mark taken. Out the back, Parsons wanted to lay it off to the teammate running by in Sushams. In the end, they just weren't quite clean enough, as the ball came clear outside a defensive 50 for the Allies, and McGuinness took the mark.
Well, the Allies' backline's held up really well. Jason Saddington will be really pleased with some of his boys down back. They've done a great job.
And speaking of Jason Saddington, this is his last involvement with the Allies. He'll be taking up a position with the GWS Academy in 2015, and we wish him well. He's done a fantastic job with this particular group of players, and also his New South Wales ACT under-18s as the kick went inside 50, and Wiedering's been a tower of strength back there for the Academy.
Yeah, excellent second half, Wiedering.
And he's a likely key position prospect. As Mills ends up on the end of this, he wanted to go. With about 45 seconds to go, he leans back. It's a high ball inside 50. Archie from the side, brought it to ground. Tried to do the roving. Once again, Jackson linking with Jones, and they've been really cohesive back there, as Terry pointed out moments ago.
Gee, Aidan Johnson thought he was through for a goal.
His eyes lit up there.
The spark well and truly out of this game now. Both sides a tad casual with things, with about 15 seconds remaining. The Allies 11-7-73 will run away with victory here. And it's been an entertaining spectacle. End-to-end stuff. Sushams, 55 from home, blazed away. And that will be the final score. So the Allies too good. 11-7-73, defeating the NAB AFL Academy 4-10-34. As they congratulate each other. We've seen enough from a lot of players, boys, today to suggest there's a lot of talent that's going to be entering the AFL system this year and in years to come.
Absolutely, and I think the standout from mine would be Nakia Cockatoo. He finished with 19 disposals, kicked that magnificent goal in the last term. He's the type of player that used the opportunity on grand final day to heighten his draft prospects, but there's plenty others. Lockie Weller had 20 touches and kicked 2 goals. Caleb Hislop had 29. Just was terrific throughout the day. And your man, Jack Steele, had 24 touches, kicked a goal, Terry, and was fantastic throughout.
Well, I think the best player on the ground will come from those 4. Look, really good performance. For me, if I was giving it, I'd give it to Cockatoo. I just thought that he set it up when the game was there to be set up, and then finished it off at the end with the cream on the cake at the end.
Well, all these possessions had impact, didn't they? And that's what we'd like to see. He's back playing footy. For the academy side, there was plenty of contributors as well. So Nicky Kearney had 29 touches, a few inside 50s, a few rebound 50s.
Brilliant early, wasn't he?
He was. He died out a little bit, but it's been a long year for these guys, and he's had a terrific bottom age year, as has Callum Mills, 23 touches. We expect he'll be in a Swans jumper in 2 years' time. He's obviously shown enough throughout the year to suggest that he'll be an academy selection this time next year. Reece Matheson had 18 touches, and a few other guys showed some signs. Harley Bellick kicked 2 goals from 15 touches as well.
Before we bid farewell to the listeners, a comprehensive look at the stat sheet, if you wouldn't mind, boys.
Well, I mean, the academy and Allies sort of went head to head in inside 50s. They had 39 to the AIS Academy side, to the Allies 37. But it was just the usage, wasn't it? Like we see,